Okay, here's my 2006 CRF 450 motor. I purchased a new Weisco crankshaft assembly, a new Vertex piston, a new cylinder works cylinder. Had assembled this motor, put it together, and with less than 20 hours on it, the rod broke mid-shaft, the connecting rod, and destroying everything in the motor. Even the transmission is now got a hang up in it where you can see parts of the pieces that were flying around ended up even in the transmission. But I've pulled the cylinder and piston off of it. I haven't pulled the crank out yet. I'm going to, but just wanted to do a video to check everything and see where the problem may lie. Actually, the crank feels very good. Everything still turns very smoothly. There's nothing wrong with the bearings. If they shouldn't, they're new. The connecting rod spins very freely on the shaft. No catches, no burrs, no anything. The side-to-side play is very minimal. I can put a feeler gauge in and check it like you're supposed to, but I'm just feeling it. I'm sure it's going to fall within spec still. It's just, as you can see, the rod broke mid-shaft. There's no heat marks anywhere, which would indicate either overheating or oiling issue. There's none whatsoever anywhere that I can find. And it really, everything appears normal other than when the rod broke. It pretty much ripped everything out of the motor, as you can tell. It wound up going in the transmission too as well, through the holes here. You look in there and it even got into the transmission. Kind of tore all that up too. Here's the piston that came out of the motor. Again, it's there it is. That's the specs on it. It's a Vertex. You can tell it has very little hours on it. It should. Like I said, this was all new stuff that I put in until the rod broke. Kind of got jammed in the side here. The piston did wind up coming down, slamming something, and of course it's ruined. You need a whole new one of these, even though it has very little time on it. This was the cylinder works cylinder. It was new as well. It has obviously no wear in it, as it shouldn't, other than it's ruined because the rod must have caught the side of the cylinder. So that's ruined as well, thanks to the rod breaking. There's no heat marks on the piston back whatsoever. Obviously there's no detonation issues. It wasn't detonating, wasn't overheating, wasn't any of that. It just, the connecting rod broke for whatever reason. Some people mentioned about, I have no idea what this black coating that Weisco uses on this rod. Obviously it didn't help or work in any shape or form, but I don't want a black coated rod anymore, that's for sure. But this is the motor. I'm going to take it apart now. I've actually have a local manufacturing facility that has a Rockwell meter that can check the hardness of the rod, the hardness of the metal. So once I do get the crankshaft apart, I'm gonna bring it to them. They're gonna check that for me, so I can find out, you know, as to why this happened. Why did it break? So this is a brand new in the box crankshaft assembly that broke for no reason that I can figure out, other than there must have been a defect in the metal. It was weak, it wasn't hard enough. I'm really not sure until we actually run a test on it and see. But it ruined a lot of stuff, a lot of new expensive parts, not to mention the motor, and there really no reason for it. After all, this is all new stuff.